was a very, very cold morning as you're walking through an abandoned parking lot, getting ever so closely to a distribution center. The threat of all others is always on your mind because there are those out there that are looking for the same thing or looking for those that are looking for the same thing. You have a large backpack on your back, mostly empty. Your goal is to fill this thing up for things that you may need to survive, for your family to survive. You have your trusty sidearm on your hip. If you're lucky, it's fully loaded. As you're approaching your location, you always keep in mind of every little sound that you make, looking through every corner, every bush to see if there's anyone around. And guys, this is something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. Things like this is what we might be coming to very soon. And the words or the abbreviation of SHTF has been plastered everywhere here lately, and it's because there's a real threat of this happening. And if I can come up with some videos or something to help people out during these times that might help them survive, it's for the best. And like I said, this scenario, and I want to start before we get started. There is a difference between looting and scavenging. Looting is basically to steal. Scavenging is when there is no law. There's just the law of the land, so to speak, and you need the items that you find in these locations to help you survive or your family survive through these dark times. And that's scavenging. There's a big difference in the two. Now, there's many things that you'll be looking out for and stuff like that. I'm not going to go too much into that today. What I want to talk about is more or less locations. What are the best places for scavenging? Now, everybody's going to say, oh, grocery stores and convenient stores and fast food and this and that. Well, guys, those are the first places that everyone and their brother will be looting and scavenging. These are the places that will be hit first, while there is law still around. And that's why I say looting, because the first stages of this, you'll see looting in the streets where people are out there taking TVs and whatever, and big things of meat and this and that. And then those places will be completely wiped out. There's no need to even bother looking into those places. For one, you probably won't find anything. For another, there'll be gangs of people patrolling those areas, expecting people to look in those places so that they might grab whatever things that you may have on you. And that right there is the scary part of things. Now, when would be the best time to go out scavenging? That's another thing. You don't want to be going out in broad daylight and 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, rummaging through things, because everybody's awake during then. You want to think of the best time. It could be between 3 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That would be the ideal time. Anytime, and in that time period, you have to realize that you guys always have to start blabbing when I get on here, don't you? Sorry, cat's meowing again. Anyways, you have to keep in mind that you have to be extremely more quiet during those times, because any little sound will amplify for maybe miles away. And you don't want to give away your location. So that is the best time, I would say, for scavenging. And anytime you pick one of these locations, you want to make sure that you have multiple ways to get away in case said place is occupied or you run across somebody that you shouldn't. And you always want to have multiple exits. You want to have, if you're doing this with other people, other family members, whatever, you want to have rally locations or places that you want to meet up, whatever you want to call them. But let's go over our places to scavenge after SHTF. Some of these you may not agree on. Some of them you may. So and I'll kind of give a detail of some of the stuff that you may find in these places. Some of them are pretty right on, if you know what I mean. Number 1, abandoned businesses, parks, and small offices. There's many things that you can find in these places. For instance, small offices, there's first aid kits, a bunch of stationery stuff. They usually have break rooms, and they have food that may be in vending machines or stored in the areas. Coffee. Coffee could be a very valuable commodity in a SHTF. Number 2, distribution and trucking centers. This one is a big one here, and a lot of times people don't think of these things. Whenever a ship comes from wherever, a cargo ship, it gets loaded up. A truck brings it to a distribution area, trucking center, whatever you want to call it, and they unload there all their items, and then they wait to make up a load to go to a certain area in the country. Well, a lot of times there are food in these things, tools, whatever, all kinds of things that may come in handy. So these are very important places to keep in mind in your location or whatever, and are really good, what I call POEs, points of interest. Number 3, sorry, junkyards. Junkyards are very important because there are just a lot of metal there, for one thing. Second, there's batteries, alternators, all kinds of mechanical things that you can build, use for whatever. And it could be scrapyards. Scrapyard type places like that could have all kinds of fun things that you could create whatever you need. Tools, a lot of mechanical tools there. Number 4, used car lots. What are you going to do with a car? Well, the cars have batteries. Batteries can be recharged. Again, a lot of tools are at these places because they a lot of times they work on these things. Again, you never know. There may be some stored food in some of these offices and things. So it's always good to look around for those type of things. Again, you never know. They could have weapons there. Some of those places do have those type of things there. Number 5. Now, be warned. This is when I talk about this. This next place. This all determines where you have where you live or where you have your base camp or whatever you want to call it. A lot of these things I'm telling you guys about are in city or towns and things like that. Now, if you live out in the country, you may not see a lot of these places. And like this number 5 here, abandoned homes. If you're out in the country, you don't want to be messing around with people's houses out in the country because they're probably well protected. I'll put it that way. So you want to scope out a place before you always go into scavenge whatever you may find in there. You always want to stake this place out, make sure it is abandoned. There's nobody there, and always keep in mind that there could be somebody there. And abandoned homes, you can get anything from food to weapons, tools, whatever the case may be. Now, this one, people will probably think, what are you, nuts? Why is this even on here? Cell towers. Yeah, why a cell tower? Well, cell towers mainly run on solar power. They do have electricity that goes to those, but a lot of times they are prone for the power to go out in these places, so they do have solar power, which is very important. Now, you may have to go do some climbing to get to said places, or they may just be outside the building. You never know. And there's tons of wiring, for one, but the main purpose is solar. These places are very important when it comes to solar because solar is very important. They can so much you can keep going when you have a good solar power setup. Our next one is number 7. It is marinas. Yes, you can get all kinds of fishing supplies and all kinds of gear like this, and sometimes there is some food and stuff. And marinas are very good. Number 8 is manufacturing centers, where they combine objects together to create other objects. Again, there are break rooms and things that you may find extra food and whatnot in these places. but the materials that they use to make whatever they're manufacturing could be very valuable, and something to keep your eyes open for. And our number 9 is personal storage facilities. Yeah, if you can get into these, if you have ways of doing this, which you should prepare for these things, breaking those locks and whatnot. A lot of these storage places would be a gold mine of things that you would need to survive SHTF. So that's something to keep an eye open for. And these places can be anywhere out in the country, small towns, big cities, whatever. And number 10, people may overlook this, but nurseries. And I'm talking about the gardening kind, where they have plants growing and stuff. During times like this, there may be, you go into these greenhouses and stuff, and there'll be plants growing produce and whatever. Not to mention seeds, very, very valuable things during this time of period. And nurseries would be an excellent place to scavenge. And that's what I'm going to leave you at, guys. I want to thank everybody for watching. Like, share, comment, all that stuff. And God bless.